Welcome. I'm glad to see you here. Let me close the door because some of us are in the same building and we are hearing feedback. 1 second. Okay. Welcome. Welcome, Lama John. Thank you for being here. Such an honor. Alejazo, thank you for coming. Great to have you here. And Timothy Lowenhop. No, long time no see you. Just joking. We have been sharing some time here at the college lately. So welcome. Today we have a very special topic going on. So let me just give you some brief introduction of what's happening. I have the great fortune to be at the Sedona College these days. And what's happening is we are going through a beautiful course on the Yoga Sutra. We are studying the chapter 4. There are 4 chapters on the Yoga Sutra. We have been studying basically all of them. This is the last chapter, and Geshe Michael is teaching in the mornings. Earl, you know Earl Earl, he's teaching in the evenings, and we also have Sanskrit classes. So it's like, I feel like it's like a whole, we are imbued in yoga teachings. So I thought it was a great opportunity to create a little synergy and to also talk and discuss about something similar, something connected with these beautiful topics of yoga, of real practice of yoga. Many of you may know yoga is not only the physical exercises, but the whole set of practices, mind, body, breathing exercises, who lead us to achieve ultimate happiness, ultimate wisdom, ultimate love, and use that to help other people to do exactly the same. And I will add in a kind of a funny way, so we all can have a great party together in a perfect world of happiness, wisdom, and love and joy. So here we are trying to crack the steps to get there. So very briefly, I would like to introduce the panelists we have today. We have John Brady. He's a great teacher, a great practitioner, many years of training, many years of teaching. He's the, I would say, president or director of the Asian Legacy Library. What they do is very amazing because they look for ancient texts all over the world, especially Asian wisdom, like countries like Mongolia, China, India. Then once they found them, they input them into digital format in order to preserve them. And then they send them to a group of translators. That's, I mean, you know, Diamond Core Classics, that's what we are doing here. And then those teachings get preserved, but also shared with all over the world. Then they create like courses, like meditation retreats, yoga retreats, yoga programs like this. So thank you so much, John Brady, for being here and for everything you're doing to make this world a better place.
Thank you, Juan. It's so good to be here. Sorry it's been so long.
No, it's a pleasure and an honor. Then we have Alejazo. She has been involved with Asian Classics Institute, maybe now for what, 4 years or 5 years? But before that, 3 years. Before that, she also served as one of the, I will say in a way, the very first lower campus manager, at least official lower campus manager for about 2 years, I think, or 3 years as well. So now she also is a mom, and that's important because many people that I know, they say that you learn a lot when you have children. So thank you so much for coming tonight. And thank you for all the work you're doing as well. Tim, I know you're helping him a lot. He is very glad to have you in the team. Tim likes you in the team.
Thank you, Juan, for the invitation. I'm honored to be here and sharing the panelists with JV and Tim and you. And thank you all the guests for coming.
Very, very welcome. And of course, we have Timothy Lowenhaupt, and he's the director, or at least one of the directors of the Asian Classics Institute. Asian Classics Institute, into my eyes, is kind of the army of, like, you know, execution on sharing these teachings that John Brady, he finds them, then he sends them. Geshe Michael is coordinating like the whole translation along with Nicolas Lachaud. And then many courses, many programs are created. And one of the most important ones are the ones in Asian Classics Institute. So Tim Lowenhaupt is in charge of making sure that that wisdom reaches the mouth of all of us babies eating this healthy, nutritious food. Thank you, Tim, very much. And he's all over the world. It's funny that behind you, there's like a map of the world. It's like, I guess it's like where you make your strategies, where to conquest next. Thank you so much for being here, Tim.
Thank you.
He's also a very good yoga teacher. Well, and John Brady is also a very good yoga teacher. And Alejandro is also a very good yoga practitioner. And I don't know if teacher as well, but probably. Okay, so we are talking about how to do yoga 23 hours off the mat. We know we also do yoga on the mat, or you know, basically any activity that helps you to move your body. It can be dancing, it can be gym, lifting weights, or it can be swimming. Something very interesting about yoga asana is that specifically designed to achieve many of the goals that the whole system of yoga aims to achieve. But we can also use other forms of physical exercises. Now, what do we do? How do we keep practicing yoga when we are not like jumping and moving the body and stuff? And I would like to first ask John Brady, how in a general sense should we understand a yoga practice that we can keep along our day? Like, or at least maybe how is it for you? You do your asana. I know you are very disciplined in that sense. How do you try to keep that mood or energy along the rest of the day?
Yeah, thanks for asking me that question, because I don't know if I have the actual answer. I can try. I think that yoga has been the science that we look at as asana, and it's 5,000 years old, right? Or more. We don't know if it goes further back, but the asana system, I think, is more of a science, and it helps us enormous help in our meditation. So I think it partially was designed for your meditation practice. And so that's another hour on the cushion. So we have an hour of asana, we have an hour on the cushions. So we only have 22 hours to be, I guess you could say, asleep most of the time. But I think what happens when you do a practice of yoga and meditation, on a good day, you do both, right? Your mind is affected in a very positive way, in a very awakened way. That's the goal, is to what Geshe Michael now is calling to be clear-minded or clear-focused. And I think both practices integrate that potential of not forgetting what you are in the asana and what you are in a meditation practice, in the sense of a self, you. How are you in the world is no different than how you could potentially realize on your cushion who you are when you go this way. So the world is your laboratory to test to test it out, to test where you think you are, but then the laboratory basically may show you a reflection of yourself that is not in parallel to who you think you are. And that's where we learn more clearly the distinctive flavors of all the aspects of Patanjali Sutras. You know, there are the various aspects and chapters of Patanjali Sutra. So I'm very much of a person to say, okay, I'm going to go into the world. I've done my practice. Let's see how it holds up. And how many times a day do I lose it? You know, it's dozens of times. And we have to get used to knowing when we come up for air and we realize that our worldview has shifted in any given turn of events. So our laboratory is being fully engaged in the world the other 22 hours. But I think our laboratory is actually how awakened and how clear focused are we in everything we do, everything, especially the relationships that we have each day with our staff and our friends and our family. You know, these are beautiful, wonderful observations of your behavior, your personal understanding of where every aspect of your reality is coming from at any given moment. And that's a hard thing to handle. And that's the challenge. And we fail and we get ourselves up and we do it again. And it's Pavlovian, but it's nice these days. My life is pretty clear, I would say 20% of the day.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I think it's very interesting. You mentioned the ingredient or the aspect of keep thinking all over the day where things are coming from. Yeah. And that seems to be a very important element that may distinguish like real yoga versus just regular or worldly yoga. Because I bet in a way we could be practicing yoga asana, let's say, for years even. And my guess is that we could get a few of the benefits. We're going to get a few of the benefits. But if we are not well trained in the whole system, in the 8 limbs of yoga, let's say, then we're not going to be able to achieve or fulfill the whole purpose of yoga. It's very interesting that you do mention this, reminding where things are coming from as one of the central, most important elements of the practice during the day. So in that context, I would like now to ask Tim Lowenhop, how could you talk a little bit about the 8 limbs of yoga and how do you think they connect with this idea of remembering where things are coming from? How this element for you, remembering where things are coming from, fits into the whole practice of yoga?
Oh, geez, Juan.
Why do we do yamas, niyamas, pranayamas, asanas? How are they all connected? And why do we have to remember where things are coming from?
Well, I think for me, you know, like for example, if I don't do my practice, right, where I'm, you know, we have the set time where I'm doing the meditations and I'm doing some kind of exercise, right, whether it's an actual asana practice or it's hiking out in the beautiful mountains right over there, you can see in the back, right?
Yeah.
Which is one of my favorite yoga practices, right? But, you know, when you step off that practice, right, which is mainly by yourself, sometimes you do it in a group, but it's mainly just you doing you. And then you're out in the world, like that's really where the practice is, you know, and because in this way, we spend time on the cushion, we spend time on the mat in review or going deeper into the concepts or exploring certain ideas or exploring certain poses or exploring how the prana moves. But then, you know, when I get up to the hotel and someone starts complaining to me about something, right? Or someone's being stubborn, or someone's not listening to me, or doing whatever that, you know, I could go on and on about all the complaints I have, right? I have complaints about the complaints, right? You know, what do I do in those moments? Right? Because, you know, in a way, like, how do I, because that's when, you know, that the expression in English is when the rubber meets the road, like the rubber of the tires, like when the rubber is actually on the road, right? Because I can do my asana practice every day, but if I just walk into that hotel and I start yelling at everybody, or I'm not treating them well, or if I'm not thinking about, well, where did this come from? Then it doesn't really matter what I do on the cushion or what I do on the mat, right? Because I'm not feeding the system, right? Because we know that good meditation, even good yoga practice doesn't come from itself, right? You know, you can get hurt in your yoga practice. You know, I got hurt on a hike during a retreat, right? I got chased by a snake and I twisted my ankle, right? Right. You know, so that's so there was, you know, what was supposed to be a relaxing, like, experience turned into a little frightening and painful, right? But if I'm off the cushion and I'm up at the hotel and I'm thinking, wow, okay, people are complaining at me. Some people are being stubborn. People are being whatever flavor of the day it is. That's when I'm really practicing. It's like, okay, all right. So what are you complaining about? Okay. What is the concern? And then I go, okay, well, why am I having to see this? Right. So then doing the niyamas and the yamas, for example, in that moment, right? In that moment when, all right, well, I need to stop being the selfish person, right? I need to stop being the complainer. Actually, it's good because, you know, I on Monday I needed to complain, and so I complained to Ale, right? I wrote her a message and I complained to her about something else, right? And as I sent it, I was like, well, that was really dumb. You know, that, you know, so I fell down a little bit, like JB said. You know, I fell off the practice, but in the moment, as soon as I pushed the send button, I was like, well, not in that moment. I was kind of felt like, okay, I said it. And I was like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said it. And by the time I decided that I shouldn't have said it, and I went to delete the message, Ale had already responded, right? So I couldn't edit it and I couldn't make it delete anymore, right? It's too late. But that the time gap, right, where I was like, oh, dang, I shouldn't have said that. That's for me yoga, right? Dang, I shouldn't have. And dang was the nice word that I did not use in that moment when I realized I shouldn't have been doing that, right? I shouldn't have been complaining to Ale. Oh, okay, well, what's going on? Well, but actually when we did talk, I realized what the seeds were behind it. So that turned into a yoga in and of itself. I'm like, Ale, rah, 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 rah. And then as I'm talking, I'm like, well, maybe. She's like, well, what do you think the seeds are? And she helped me think about what I needed to stop, right? And what did I need to take up, right? The yamas and niyamas right there. Like, nobody yells at me when I'm on a hike over there. Like, no one gets upset with me. I don't take my phone with me so people can't yell at me, right? But it's when I get off the cushion or get off the mat is when all that happens. So you have to be prepared for it, right? And so the preparation takes you there. And then how you respond then becomes the seeds for the mat and the cushion to work as well. So they feed into each other.
Thank you, Tim. It's very interesting because usually I tend to think, let's say that the yamas, the niyamas are like activities we do in order to charge, like to get the seeds, to get the the credit, I don't know, the you know, in order for our practice of yoga to work. But now you just open up to a new idea for me, that actually doing the yamas and then niyamas is already doing your yoga practice. So I was kind of usually thinking of it like, okay, I'm gonna do ahimsa, like not hurting others, being careful how do I eat, how do I drive, you know, or like contentment with what I have, gratitude, like taking care of my, you know, different activities during the day. And then if I plant those seeds, whenever I do my pranayamas or my asanas, my meditation, then it's gonna work. But I think that's only one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it that I like that you were mentioning is actually when you encounter difficulties during your day, that's the moment when you practice yoga. And yamas and niyamas are also part of yoga. So that opens up for a great possibility. We don't need to be on top of a mat in order to be doing yoga. And I'm liking that perspective. I think that's what JB was saying. That's what you are saying. There is so many opportunities to do yoga in our day. It's almost like exciting if you encounter like a difficult person or a grumpy guy, and then you're like, yes, this is the time to do some yoga, you know?
May I say something?
Please, please.
For me, doing yoga, before I was a mother, I tried to have a physical, regular yoga practice, but now with Joaquin, my yoga practice changed a little bit, and I do yoga mostly when I'm doing the dishes or when I'm cooking, because when I review my physical body, like how do I feel, like if I feel tension in my toes, or so it's another type of yoga practice. And also how do I implement yoga the rest of the day while I am working, is I try to think about my not my physical body, but my energy body, because when we work or when we are doing something, the energy moves through our body, the winds and everything. So when I'm working with a certain a project, I can feel the knots in different parts of my body and the energy. And I try to think about how I can move the prana with different thoughts, or I'm not very good in a technical definitions, but I know that through thoughts and actions, we can change the prana and we can move the knots in our body. And that's how I try to implement yoga the 23 rest of the hours, to always be aware of what is going on in my mind, and also what is going on in my house. If I have like a super messy house because Joaquin has tons of Legos, I try to put the yoga practice, picking up the Legos, sweeping up the house, and then I dedicate to have a clear mind so I can move the different energy for the knots in my body. Because in the end of the day, when we have a busy week or a busy day, you can feel, or sometimes you can feel what is going on in your yoga. And when you don't have time for an hour of asana, you can just stretch and dedicate the seats, your thoughts, your actions, so you can have a better yoga practice during the day, and then plant the seeds to have a better understanding of what is going on. I don't know if that's correct, but that's how I practice yoga sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. I think it is. Maybe I should have mentioned before that this session it's based on a teaching Geshe Michael taught in Tucson, 2004. I found this teaching at the knowledge base. It's very brief, actually, 20 minutes. The audio is very brief. But Geshe Michael is talking about so many ways, similar to what you're saying, Ale, so many ways that we can keep awareness and things we can do to keep practicing yoga the whole day. And as you did mention, there are like practices like just keep a straight back. Like, I don't know, I forgot, let's sit up, right? And then I sit straight. He even mentioned that, I think it was the first Panchen Lama, or I forgot, or Choni Lama, or no, Sakya, I forgot. But a big Lama, he used to say that the reason he was able to achieve and to compose that many works, he used to say, it's because I keep my spine straight. Like whenever I'm sitting down, I sit with my straight spine. And he said, if I wouldn't be doing that, I would have not been able to do it. And he even kind of jokes like, that's why you all like how do you say, slouches people. That's why you are not writing that many Dharma works or so. So in this context, I would like to ask any of you, dear panelists, could you tell us a little bit about this? There is something in YSI they call the onion theory. And it's mostly how like the different layers of our cells are interconnected and affect each other. And I think if we talk a little bit about that, then we can move on and talk about practical ways that we can keep doing yoga any time of the day. Will any of you would like to talk a little bit about these layers, the onion theory?
I could try, I guess,
Sure.
We can help you. I remember it.
So the main idea is that like like an onion, right? There's several layers that construct our reality, essentially. Right. And so we start with our physical body, right? We have our physical body, right? And so doing yoga in the sense of keeping your body aligned, like I have to keep my body moving in certain ways and aligned in certain ways because I have a weird spine. So for me, I have to always be doing some kind of asana practice to keep it from actually hurting, right? So there's like the physical aspect of the body, right? And then the next like layer in, what they say is the breath, right? So in the way of like, can you be very aware of how you breathe, right? And you can tell what's going on with your emotions, your mind, and your body just by observing your breath. Is it deep? Is it long? Is it short? Is it shallow? Right. So you can really, and oftentimes I do that when I'm listening to someone. I sometimes don't listen to the words first. I listen to their breath. So I gain more information about what's going on for them. Like, are they anxious? Are they nervous? Are they relaxed? Right. And you can even do things like when people are really anxious, I'll start breathing like long, deep breaths, right? And then it'll be weird that people will start mirroring those kind of things. So anyway, so the breath is the next level. The next level in is the prana, like the more subtle body. And someone asked earlier, I think it was Anai who asked? Yeah, Anai asked about how you can feel the prana, right? And maybe we can talk about that because I think that'd be useful. Like the more subtle movements of the prana in your body. Right? Because they say in yoga, the thoughts and the prana ride together. So when you feel angry or you feel happy or you feel any kind of thing happening, like there's prana moving through your body, right? And yoga talks about channels and like the side channels and the central channel and moving the prana into the central channel, you know, which is in part some of the goals, right, of yoga. And by moving the prana in that way, you can helps a lot in lots of ways, including being able to see emptiness directly. You know, and then the next level down after, beyond that is karma itself, right? If I'm correct, where the levels of karma operate, the seeds are operating there, right? And then the next level is emptiness itself. So it kind of goes in like that, right? So if you imagine it, we just went from outside in. Now let's go from inside out, right? So we start with emptiness. You know, then you have the seeds, the karma. Then you have the prana, the subtle body, right? Then you have the breath. Then you have the physical body. And sometimes they even then say that the outside of the onion is the entire world, like the world outside of you. And that's also deeply connected to the inside of the onion as well. How did I do?
Yeah, that was
Okay.
awesome. Yeah, I mean, the way I remember that talk, Antonio. For I totally remember that talk. He was banging on the pipes. So yoga is an outer method to bang on the pipes, right? To actually all these kind of spiral systems of, you know, twisting and turning and inversions. It's all about activating winds that essentially you want to pull into the central channel, and breath is you know, the object of most traditional asana systems. The breath is drishti and the breath, and so those first two are related to asana pretty much. And I like the idea of when we hit the subtle body, that's really what you're going for in this sense of an asana channel opener. It's when the subtle body becomes, you can taste it. It you know, you can be in that place because the subtle body, like, of course, you know, seeds, but the subtle body is the progenitor of this body. So the winds, when they're in a still unmoving place, or even maybe the winds being in this avaduti, the central channel, you are in a different mind. You were not in the conventional, you know, afflicted state of mind. You're in a different state of mind. So you know, this is it's brilliant. It's the Tibetan Heart Yoga Bible. The onion ring is like one of the main sources for Tibetan Heart Yoga's you know, amazing time in the world. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So how can we are talking about, okay, we can affect the inner layers by doing certain things with the outer layers, right? Let's say we go through a series of asanas using our physical body, and that, I guess, immediately will change the way we breathe. Then the way we breathe may start affecting our energy, how our energy starts moving. And as you were saying as well, Tim, the way you breathe, it's very connected with emotions in a way, like either if you're anxious or calm or happy. I almost feel like there is one code, like there is one breathing code for each of the emotions. And I'm guessing it's also the same with the heart beating, because sometimes I notice like almost like my emotion, like every emotion is connected to a certain, if we think about the heart as a music drum, it's almost like I feel like each emotion is like a certain beat or like something like that. It's very interesting. And then that is going to affect our thoughts as well, right? Like sometimes I notice I start doing exercise, and if I'm enjoying it, I'm having a great time doing exercise, then I start having good thoughts and good ideas. And I guess eventually those thoughts, if are linked to love, compassion, wisdom, are gonna take us somehow to the deeper reality. So what could you say? You can use examples from the reading or personal examples as well. Maybe now, Ale, that it will be your second participation. Could you share with us some of the examples, like, I don't know, whatever comes to your mind, like how can we do yoga related to our physical body when we are not in the mat? How can we do yoga related to our breathing when we are not in the mat? Related to our thoughts when we are not in the mat? Like maybe any examples you may come with for different layers. And of course, the rest of the panelists, if you have any ideas as well, very welcome to share.
Thank you, Juan. I would like also invite the participants to type in the chat if they have some activities that they can do without out of the mat. One of the things that I like to do is singing. I remember when I was at Diamond Mountain, and I tried to move my to bring my mind back to to my physical body, was sing. And because sometimes I connect the singing with an emotion, and then the emotion with a memory, and that memory brings me joy or sadness or anger, and then I digest that emotion, and then I purify it or I dedicate it. And sometimes when I was running, when I used to run a lot, I dedicate that run to all the people who couldn't move their body, so or control their body, so they can do asanas, or they can move their prana as they decided to do. Because people with Parkinson or other disease, they cannot control their physical body. Also, here now in my house with Joaquin, when I am the stroller, taking down up and the stairs, up and down the stroller, I dedicate. I try to imagine what asana I will be doing in a mat when I am picking up the stroller, or when I'm dancing with Joaquin. I try to remember what chakra we can move, or we can unblock when we sing, when we dance. When I teach him, we are learning sign language. So when we are learning sign language, I try to explain him is another way to communicate our thoughts and emotions without a mouth, and that could be very beneficial for a kid and for us to be more aware of our thoughts and not plant bad seeds with our mouth. Also, washing dishes is a nice way to do your yoga practice, because you can visualize, you can imagine your light body when you're washing dishes. I just like to imagine. I like to ponder a lot what I can do without my physical body, and then dedicate it and plant the seeds. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's beneficial for somebody, but I like to do it.
No, we should all go home right now. That was beautiful.
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, I think people in the chat are saying good things, like it's helpful. to hear these examples. And yeah, I also encourage people in the chat, if you have questions, if you want to ask questions to the panelists, you can type them there. And yeah, we'll take some time to do questions as well. Now, I would like to say, in the session, in the 20-minute audio, Geshe Michael talks, he gives some examples. He talks a lot about sitting up straight, very important, keeping our spine like straight with a nice flow. He also talks something about using bandhas. This is a topic that I'm not very familiar with it, a little bit, but not very familiar. I would like to hear more about bandhas. He also talks about smiling. Apparently, it has a very interesting effect in the channels, in the connections in our face, and in especially in the third eye chakra, Ajna chakra. He does talk about also about cleansing, like the natural process of the body when we go to the bathroom with the restroom or when we blow our nose. He talks about the importance of breathing deeply and peacefully. He talks about also, I guess, very, very important, how we think, about thinking kindly and wisely, and about doing Tonglen. So now in this way, I would like to ask maybe JVila, if you could talk a little bit about these practices and why they are beneficial for us, like sitting up straight, the importance of not slouching much, or bandhas that I don't know much about it, breathing, thinking kindly and wisely. How can we learn more about them and use them in our everyday life?
Sure. Yeah. If you talk about bandhas, it's really a lifelong pursuit of understanding them, because bandhas are using energy centers within the body during your yoga practice, and or when you're doing other things. But you can really take advantage of asana to get in touch with the bandhas, and the energy systems are mapped out exquisitely by the ancient Asian world. They were in touch with the subtle energy systems, and where their network of location, conceptually location wise, where they are. And so when you tap into these bandhas, you begin to it's very interesting. It can be almost sometimes you can have an anti-gravitational sense of your body in your practice on a good day. And maybe for a few minutes, you just are just as light as a feather, and you can, do things that you couldn't do the previous day. And that's because you're tapping into the bandhas. And a lot of the, again, back to just asana, that system is designed to get in touch with those energies. I mean, yoga is a science. It's not just another way to go to the gym. It's not. It is a science, and it was designed to use the energies of the body for higher states of being, higher states of awareness. And so core, we hear the word core in a lot of asana sequential traditions in our Western idea of core, but there is core in all the ancient systems. The Dantian in the Chinese tradition is the same. It's a place, a subtle spot in front of the backbone where the side channels meet the central channel. And it's a very powerful place. And you can spend, a week on meditating on that location for you, of getting and tapping into those subtle energies. And it also is a way of stilling the mind, getting the mind more quiet more quickly, and layering in to a deeper awareness of what your object of meditation could be like. So these systems are interrelated. They're exquisitely connected. Bandhas are using Muladhara Bandha, Svanasthana Bandha. These bandhas are power sources. And then you channel those power sources to essentially bring the prana into the central channel and dissolve that side channel energy directly. And asana has all that going for it. But asana can also go south, and you could also, your mind is really the controlling factor of the seed planting in yoga or meditation. Your mind is the factory of the destiny of how seeds are planted, no matter what you do. So so how you focus on the object while you're practicing any aspect of these traditions is essential. We have those experiences where I don't know. Yesterday, I did a beautiful yoga class, and then I went up to pick up my laundry in Sedona, and it wasn't ready, and it was a week. It wasn't ready, and I started getting pissed off at the lady, and she's so there, and then it's like, you said it would be ready by the 12th. Today's the 22nd. What's up with this? And this poor lady, she's at the beck and call of anybody that walks in that door to give her slack. And I pulled back and I said, look, don't worry about it. I don't need it today. But I drove up to get it. But I lost it because those winds just shifted when she kind of just said, well, it's not ready yet. And it's like, oh, really? And then I got caught in a, in a complete downward spiral. My worldview went out the window. And, and then your body gets tight, the energy and the chi get squeezed, and you're back to, a different reality. And that's what happens. And then you realize that, which is the wake-up call, and then you go back to trying to keep your worldview and understand, the emptiness of every aspect of your interrelationship into the world. And there's so much to be said, about is the time gap getting longer between losing it and keeping your clear thinking? Yeah. The point is that the time gap gets longer, and you don't lose it all the time. You lose it less frequently, which gives you an opportunity to clean it up as well. And so, yeah, the systems are all in place, and the Patanjali Sutra system is complete. It's a complete life practice. I think we have multiple supplements to what we are traditionally being taught in our traditions that just, layers the essence of Patanjali Sutras. It's fascinating. It's encapsulated the essence of every aspect of what we are learning on a daily basis through DCI, ACI, YSI, all the I's. So it's a beautiful, it's a process. And why yoga is called a practice is because you do lose it. And, you want to show off on when you do some kind of fancy pose, at the Hilton Spa when people are swimming. I mean, come on, the human mind is full of tricks, and we have to tame it all the time. So.
Thank you, Devila. Beautiful. I think it's very inspiring. I don't know about you guys, but now I'm feeling like maybe I should start doing asana more often now. So, yeah. Anything you would like to add, Tim, about maybe why does smile is helping for us? Why does standing straight is helping for us? Why, I don't know, maybe talking a little bit about doing tongue length while you are doing groceries or while you're driving, or any of these practices that you may enjoy that can affect the different layers of the onion.
Right. I mean, one of the questions earlier on from Anai was about, well, how do I feel prana? Like, how can I feel it, right? And one of the things that I just did a Ben Kramer by answering a total different question, by the way.
No, that's good. I like it.
But basically, what I started doing in my own practice, like I did a lot of yoga nidra, which is the yoga of sleep, which is not really sleeping. It's a type of deep rest. And in that, you start working with the different layers of the body, like the different layers of the onion. And that's one way you can start getting more sensitive. I mean, I think karmically the answer is a little bit different. But for example, what I started noticing, I had a habit of lying. And I had a habit of, and it wasn't like big lies. They were just like lies that would never get caught. Like no one would really know the difference, right? But I was protecting something. I was protecting, my reputation, or I didn't want people to think that I was screwing up. And most of the time it was because I would say 99% of the times I do lie and still do lie is when I haven't done something that I said I was going to do. Right. And I make up some story to protect myself. It's much less frequent. But what happens is I started noticing, I'm like, all right, I got to stop this thing, right? I got to stop this pattern. And this is many, many years ago. And I started noticing what my body feels like from the outside into the inside, what it felt like before I was going to lie. Like what was happening? I was trying to catch myself before it happened. And there was a thing where I actually would feel this constriction kind of coming up, like kind of across here and right into this area here. Like, and it almost felt like there was like a chronic constriction, and then it would go outwards and my throat would actually like get smaller. Like I could feel it getting smaller. And so I started using that as an indicator that, oh, the pattern is about to start, right? And so what happened was, I started noticing when I started feeling it, I was like, oh, there's a lie that's going to start happening. And at the beginning, it was more like it would just happen. I would notice it, but I couldn't stop it. It would just be like the vomit would come out, right?
Yeah.
But then what started happening was I would start feeling it and I'd be like, oh, all right, stop. And, I would, okay, I'm about to get caught or whatever. And I started noticing all the patterns. And then I just stopped. I was like, well, what the hell difference does it make? And so I just was like, all right, I'll just tell the truth right now. I screwed up. I didn't do what I was supposed to do, something like whatever it was. Right. But I used it as an indicator that a bad seed was about to be planted, which in some way was a bad seed ripening, but I didn't allow it to keep going further. Right. So the answer to your question, one would be like, start noticing if you want to stop bad habits, typically they're going to start way before you actually do it, in my experience anyway. So notice where you feel it in your body. Like, can you notice it before it's happening? And you might be able to start cutting it off beforehand. Like, how long does it take? I've had the same experience at the dry cleaner. How long does it take before I get mad, right? Can I extend that longer? Or like when I start feeling it, I'm like, oh, this is, I don't even take my clothes at the same dry cleaner anymore, so I don't get mad. Right? But then, the idea of smiling, something happened. One of my teachers said to me, I'm not going to teach you unless you're happy. And I was like, what? Like, that's not fair. Right? But, part of it was, well, how can I practice being happy? What kind of things make me happier? And just forcing a smile, even when I'm not feeling happy, just changed my whole inner body. Like, there's something that does happen. There's a relaxation that happens here. Like you can, like, if you're watching people on Zoom, like if you're ever teaching and they're like confused, you can see it right here in their forehead, right? So, I mean, I've seen my teachers do it. All of a sudden they make a joke. Like, they'll do something to get people to smile and relax. Their forehead relaxes. And then you can start hitting again with the, with the explanation, right? And what Gelsey's saying in the chat is like, it opens up the two side channels, right? It creates space, which they terminate right here, right? it creates space in your where they terminate and allows the prana to flow, right?
Release some energy. I don't know if you have seen in social media the picture of people before they say like they look beautiful and after they say they look beautiful. The way that they smile is a clear demonstration on how words can change the prana in your physical body, because something irradiates in your face when you have a happy emotion or a good thought.
And Ale, you just answered a question I've been asking for a long time of, how does one plant the seed for joyful effort? And I think you just answered it, like helping other, like if I were to say to someone, give them a compliment, tell them nice things, tell them they're beautiful, tell them they're, whatever would make them happy, and you see them relax, you see them smile, you see them like they're opening their channels, which allows the prana to flow more, then that's going to be a seed that you're putting in to then have it happen for you.
And when you want to do it for yourself, when you want to smile and you are super depressed or angry or full of negativity and negative emotions, just go back to your happy place. Remember something that brings you joy. It could be food, it could be your mom, your dog, tacos, your house.
Tacos, nice.
Right?
Everyone loves tacos.
Yeah, something like makes you feel happy and make you smile. And they say fake it until you make it, right? So that's one way to do yoga out of the mat. Remember the happiness, and that will
Also the science of smiling. They know, I mean, it's factual now that endorphins are released in smiling. So it changes your chemistry. It does change the chemical aspect of your mind. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, sometimes I even really like it. It feels awkward at the beginning, but I really think it's useful. It works in a way. I mean, of course, if you have the seats, but like even just like really, it's like forcing yourself as exactly like doing an asana, doing an exercise. You're like normal, maybe you are not excited or not necessarily like super happy, but you just go like this, training your muscles, your face, and just walk like that and do whatever, doing the dishes like that. It's like almost you are forcing it. But something I noticed very interesting, sometimes I get a little congestion in my nose. But if I'm smiling, I can breathe better. Maybe experiment for yourself. Try to breathe through your nose regular. And then smile, like the biggest smile you can do. And then breathe through your nose and check the difference. It's very interesting. Like as you say, it opens up space and then I can breathe better if I'm smiling.
Sure. It's also, you can change your breath channel system, like with any of these practices. The asana practice changes your breath channel system. So if your left nostril is breathing more than right, or vice versa, or you suddenly see the equanimity of equal amount of oxygen going through. It's so cool when you get in touch with these subtle energies that way, and it changes your. I don't know. A lot to be said about that. Totally.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for coming. We are reaching the end of the program. But it will be great to have you guys again sometime soon. So you'll be invited for sure again.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to say one last thing.
Sure.
Yoga practice, there are many types of yoga, as we know. So when you are trying to do yoga outside of the mat, just pick one And you can do yoga with everything. Just use your imagination, your joy, and dedicate. And that's the way that you can do yoga 23 hours out of the mat, having fun and find useful ways to move your prana for the best of everybody.
Yeah, my yoga these days is vacuuming. I love vacuuming now. And we have a steamer for our floor. I love it. I go and steam our floor.
Yeah, Osiris has told me about it.
It's such a pleasure to, you know. Yeah, the definition of yoga is multiverse.
Great. So I would like to invite the attendees to support this project. We are basically trying to support the translation of ancient wisdom. Mainly everything we talk here, it's, how to say, thanks, it's because, or it's thanks to the job, like amazing teachers and great, I will say, loving wisdom warriors are doing for this world. They are trying to really preserve and translate and share with us this knowledge that once we understand and try to practice, I bet we can see our lives improving. So if you want to help to support these projects, I'm gonna type the link here and you can help us to keep going with this beautiful, beautiful mission that basically, yeah, it's saving the world, no? I guess at the end of the day, that's what it's doing. That's the purpose of saving the wisdom. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for taking the time. And we'll see again next week. Next week is gonna happen morning time, but 15 minutes later, instead of 9 a.m., 9:15 a.m., but I'll keep you posted. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us, Juan. Thank you.
Okay, see you soon. Have a great rest of the night or day or wherever you are. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Ale. Bye, Tim.
Bye. Good night.